Right.
Hi, we're back, everyone. We've got John again. We're very lucky. He seems to have a few minutes available. This is Jane Hatch of Explore the Unknown podcast, and I'm back with John Whitberg. We're going through about 10 different alien species, and he's giving his description of his experiences with them and on the different planets he has been to in either his own form or his altar. Now, are all of your altars in clones or some, I think, synthetics as well? Is that correct?
Uh, some of them are in clones, some are in synthetics, some of them are in completely separate bodies that don't really have anything to do with me, and some of them are in this body. Pretty much all of the German SSP ones are in this body. That's what they use.
In your experiences, how many alien species do you believe you've come in contact with, interacted with between you and your altars?
I can't even count them.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many do you
Um,
think there are in the universe? As best you can get.
Countless. Truly countless. One thing about the universe is, and this is probably the biggest lie that has ever been told, uh, that we are alone because life is the rule, not the exception. Um, it's actually extremely rare for you to find an environment that doesn't have some kind of life form living in it. Now, whether that's sentient or not varies. Whether it's something you can see or understand varies, but there's always something there.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
We know that our military knows about the existence of all these alien beings all over the galaxy. In your opinion, what is the major reason they're keeping it secret from the human population, or trying to anyway?
Oh, good question. Hmm. It's part of the broader agenda of like enslavement towards extermination. Uh, which people need to understand. The goal is not to keep you a slave forever. The goal is to eventually kill you all.
Well, that's a positive note, but yes, I understand. Yes,
Yeah.
I get it. I believe that as well.
Yeah.
Use you
Um,
as long as you can, as long as they
yeah.
can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to show you a building and I'm going to ask you to explain what it is, where it is, and what
Oh.
went on in it. Particularly related to, is this it? Related to ETs. I
Oh.
saw this on one of your interviews. I'm like, this is just the craziest thing. What happened to her?
Oh, right. That's the Montauk Manor. Um, it is in this which is part of it's near Camp Hero where the Project Phoenix happened. And Project Phoenix is what people call the Montauk Project, but that was never its name. Oh, one second.
And in this interview, you were telling, I don't know if it was Daniel who was that there was major, like extravagant dinners and hedonistic gatherings with included the US military, the Nazis, and also you said ETs, which really fascinated me. So this was what, 60, 70 years ago, our military was cavorting at dinner parties with ETs. Is that correct? He's gone. He's gone. Okay. I'll talk a little bit about, I only know from what John said. This is a mansion at Montauk, New York. The location of the U.S. Military's army base or military base, which starting in the 1950s was the location of Camp Hero, which was the location of almost the majority of child abductions across the Western Bloc, the United States. And they brought these abducted children to the servicemen, U.S. military, Navy, Air Force. John knows it was military because he said they had their uniforms on, and they brought the children to this not this they didn't bring the children here, but this building was on the location of Montauk. They brought the children to really horrific conditions where they were kept in cages, naked, abused, sodomized, fed dog food, and tortured until their minds split. And that's MK Ultra mind control. But meantime, our military was wining and dining and ordering food from all over the world, nearby to where our American children were being, including John and many others, were being held in dog cages while they were wining and dining in this building. Is that correct, John?
Yes.
Can you tell me what
Um,
ETs were present?
there were a number of ETs who had some sort of presence during this program. There were various kinds of greys, and yes, there were a lot of species of greys. There were a couple of actual Arcturians, which we're going to get to that chart, and I'm going to explain what I mean when I
Yeah.
differentiate actual Arcturians. Um, there were various, a couple of different reptilian species, not many, but a couple. Um, they didn't really have many reptilians there, and there were a few of the tall whites that we talked about earlier.
Would they sit side by side by our leading military leaders at the dining
Yeah,
table?
probably not at the dining table, but they would mingle during the party.
Did they drink and have hors d'oeuvres and
Yeah,
food?
yeah,
Was it the same food the humans are eating?
yeah,
Interesting. And did
yeah.
they seem compatible in their conversation or inspired, or what was your impression? And where were you during how did you get to be there during these meetings?
Well, I describe one time in my book being there as kind of undercover, but also as the bodyguard of a dude. Again, people read my book if you want to know details about this program. I don't really do shows about this program, but
Yeah.
it and there were times I was there in a different altar as a child slave. Um, yeah.
Are there any military figures we would recognize? Any names now? Were there Nazis and American military?
Yeah, there were both, and people from all over the Western Bloc.
The Kino over there?
I don't know about at this place, no. Probably at some point.
Okay. Well, we'll move on. I just thought it was absolutely fascinating, shocking, horrifying, all of the above. That
Yeah.
the leaders of the U.S. military were wining and dining and ordering from all over the world, while our American children from the Western Bloc, were being kept in cages, naked, and fed dog food in buildings right nearby. Is that correct, John?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Why do I keep losing like everything? Okay. I'm so kind of screwed up today. All right.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we're both like, sorry, apologize, you guys. We've been like trying so hard to put this interview together, and I apologize. So I've got to just we'll go through the rest of the ETs, and then we'll both,
Yeah.
yeah,
And we can go through some of those people's comments too, because I looked through some of them, there were some things in there I
yeah.
would like to respond to.
Okay. You know, I don't even know what happened to all of my, I think my tabs are gone. Let me see if I can bring them up. Oh, here
Okay.
they are.
It was also on the Facebook announcement you made for this show.
Yeah, okay.
That chart
So we went through
was.
the grays. Okay, do you want to say anything about the Arcturians? This
Yeah,
is
I pull up the chart because that's
okay.
part of that's one that I have something very important to
All
point out
right, here
about
you
it.
go.
Yeah. Okay. Arcturians are green and they don't really look like that. They basically look like normal tall grays, but they're bright green. Uh so this is a completely inaccurate look at them. They do exist, but this is not what they look like. I would like to know where this whole idea that Arcturians are blue came from. Um, because you see that everywhere, but yeah, Arcturians are green.
This particular book, the Arcturian Anthology, equates Yeshua and Mary as Arcturians. Mary Magdalene.
Interesting. Interesting.
And Sanat Kumara, Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene. Do you agree with that or not?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know who Sanat Kumara is, but I do, in my opinion, from what I was taught in colonial school, off-world, uh, Jesus, Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene were uh, Aldebaranites.
Oh, I don't even think we've got that one on our list. I don't know if we're gonna
Well,
fit it in
well,
either.
that's Aldebaranites are Nordics, or they are one of, whenever you see a Nordic, it's either an Aldebaranite or um an off-world German who, again, like we talked about earlier, is trying to pass themselves off as being some other species.
And what is your impression of Arcturians in general, and what is their role in existence? And here they are blue again. Yeah.
I like them. They're very good engineers and pilots, navigators, all of that stuff. They're very funny and cute,
Really?
actually.
I'd
Yeah,
like to hear that.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, cute.
uh,
Thank God something's still funny and cute in the universe.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, female Arcturians, through no fault of their own, exude a chemical that human men find extremely arousing, even if you're not into that at all.
Well, do we have any children around that are Arcturian humans? Do you have any, John, on the planet, do you think, here?
I'm not sure that we can have children with them.
Okay. Just the process of trying is very compelling to human men, I guess.
Yes,
Where's
yes.
that? Where did that experience occur for you, if you don't mind me asking?
That was I talk about it in my fourth book, or the fourth
Okay.
volume of my book. Yeah.
And by the way, John has a very extensive collection of books available for free on his website. It's just amazing. They're amazing books. I think I've gotten through four of them. So we went
Yeah.
from funny and cute to sexy. So they embody all of that, the female Arcturians.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they
I
like
don't know.
humans.
I don't know if the Arcturian men have the same effect on human women. Possibly. Um, I've never asked. I'll have to ask that sometime.
Getting punch drunk, John, today. But that's okay. So where did you interact with them, if you don't mind? In what mission and what role were you playing or being?
Uh, I've run across them in quite a few times. They're pretty common. Uh, they often are hired around on ships as engineers and general fix-it people, and also they also are pretty useful as spies because no one ever suspects them of anything. Uh,
Because they're
so
cute.
yeah,
Because they're cute,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So if
yeah.
we see an Arcturian stepping off a spaceship, we're pretty safe to just stand there and say hello.
99 times out of 100, yes.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Okay. I don't know how I have this guy. It's a Star Wars thing. Let me see. What are we on next?
Pull up the
Pleiadians.
chart.
We kind of covered Pleiadians, but let's do it a little bit again. You said they are not friendly, most of them. I mean, that's not my impression, but I don't really know.
What
You
I
feel like
saw when I was what I saw when I was in the Pleiades, 3D physically, is that the Pleiades do not have an indigenous population. They are a solar nursery, which solar nurseries cannot produce human type life forms. And also they're too new. A lot of the stars in the Pleiades are only a few 100,000 years old. So
okay, solar
that's
nursery has me stumped.
yeah. Solar nursery is a an area of space where stars are born and formed and everything.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to look at when you're there. There are these huge, and when I say huge, I mean like solar system sized clouds of like glowing gas floating freely in space and creating and crashing into each other cataclysmically and creating little mini stars and all sorts of stuff. It's really amazing to witness, but it's not exactly friendly for human life, is it?
No, sounds like the Big Bang or something. The,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe the not Nordic aliens.
Yeah, I'm sure that there probably are like some microbial life forms there and things like that, and there's probably plasma-based things um, here and there, but there are human life forms. I just can't see how such a thing could have evolved there, both in those conditions and in such a short period of time. And I didn't see any of that when I was there. I do know that frequently when the Germans abduct people uh, from Earth, they, for whatever purpose, they either install cover memories or they don't, but then at the end of it, at the end of the abduction, when the person asks, "Where are you from?" they'll tell you the Pleiades.
Does our U.S. military have any interest in the aliens and vice versa?
They have interest in this off-world Germans, which are
Oh,
what the Pleiadians, in my opinion, are. So yeah, they have interest in that because they're trying to kill them all off. It is a The war being waged by the US military in space is a genocidal one against the Germans and Japanese who broke away.
That sounds like another whole video. It sounds
Yes.
apocalyptic, and yeah, I'm kind of speechless because we all grew up to a degree of fantasy. If we finally get out there, we'll be safe, and we'll be with all our galactic sisters and brothers, and nothing could be further from the truth. I've learned as I've awoken.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of also safe, neutral parts of space, but you're not just automatically safe when you get out there. There's still all kinds of shit going down. Pardon my language, but yeah.
Okay, so if a spaceship lands in our backyard and these people walk out, are we safe or should we run?
You shouldn't run
Yeah, right,
necessarily
right.
because they're
But
they're prob they're the same species as you. They're probably not there to kill
yeah,
you or anything, but at the same time, don't trust what they say right off the bat.
yeah, I would say trust your gut instinct no matter what you see, trust what
Yeah.
you're feeling because all of these beings can shape shift and veil themselves. So, and I
And
know
you
that,
notice they're very attractive
yes,
usually.
yes.
Usually, if a hot alien comes down to visit you in the night, usually that means they're either up to no good or you're not their top interest or they don't have your best interest at heart, even if they're not there to actively hurt you. It usually means they're trying to pull something. So,
Yeah. They're presenting themselves as your fantasy because they want to get something from you.
yeah.
The next one with the really bizarre looking Chimera, which I looked up and says they're parasites. That's the maybe. Oh, I just wanted to mention Andrea Martin she has a YouTube growing up alien, a Pleiadian. She is a Pleiadian.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
she,
I'm supposed to have gone on her show like 3 times. I am sorry, Andrea. I will get that scheduled. I My life has been a wreck for a bit. It's finally
yes,
evening out a little now.
and I'll confirm, Andrea, that it's difficult to get John on camera. So, yeah, I've been on her show. She's great. She definitely is an ET, and her boyfriend, her husband, Ika, is also Pleiadian, and he's in the spirit form. And so they conduct quite a most often together a show. So, anyway, I just wanted to mention her as an example of a Pleiadian in human incarnate here now.
Okay.
So let's see. Okay, I think this was Chimera. Yeah, okay.
Chimera, I think is how it's said. But
Yeah, okay, thank you.
a chimera is there is no species called chimera. A chimera literally means a creature which is made by mashing up multiple creatures. Um,
Interesting.
like in ancient Greece, there was the story of the chimera that had like the body of a lion and the feet of a goat and the tail of a dragon or something. So, yeah, chimeras are real. You see them all over the place in the programs. People who've been mashed up with either with ETs or with animals for any number of reasons.
Are they
Um,
typically made in deep underground military bases or
yeah,
somewhere else?
yeah,
So it's sort of
or off-world. And sometimes they're not even used for military purposes. Sometimes they are people who are going out to colonize planets. Um, for instance, I once met a family of people who had been voluntarily who had had their DNA spliced with cuttlefish, which allowed them to survive and colonize deep. undersea caves on whatever planet. Um, that's a practice called bioforming. So, but that's also a chimera. That's anytime you have two species who could not breed sexually spliced together, that is a chimera.
And they use these creatures to populate other planets?
Yeah, sometimes they use them for again as spies because then they look like aliens. You know, if they need to go to a place where a human would stand out, but you can look like any kind of alien you want, basically. Sometimes they'll hire out some of them. Uh, there's all sorts of reasons. And sometimes they just make them because they're kind of sick in the head and they think it's cool, like
It's so
Mangala type
sad.
things.
It's
Yeah,
sad. It looks pathetic. That
yeah,
really strikes me with sadness. That thing. It's like a thing. The chimera. It's sad. And then
yeah.
we come finally to probably the most talked about is reptilian.
Yeah, this is also the one I have the most to say about.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, there are a lot of species of reptilians, quote unquote. Millions just within this galaxy.
Wow.
In fact, reptilian life forms seem to be the most likely for whatever reason. If there's any geneticist listening who could maybe explain this, I'd love to know why, but reptilian life forms seem to be the most likely to evolve to sentience. So
Interesting.
all everywhere you go out in the galaxies, you're never far from a new reptilian species. And a lot of them don't like each other. A lot of them don't even know each other exist, because space is a pretty big place and only so many species actually even have space travel. But among the ones that do have space travel, a lot of them don't even like each other. So just saying reptilians, on a galactic scale is about as useful as saying people with brown eyes on an Earth scale.
Mhm. Can we say that the Dracos are one of the most violent aspects or elements of the reptilians, the Dracos?
Well, there are seven species of Draco.
Okay.
Actually, that they have a seven-layer caste system. Um, I have encountered four of them, which would be the queens, the generals, the soldiers, and the blue-collar workers. The queens are, well, there are also male royals, but they don't really have uh, very much power, uh, unless it's like a prince who the queen mother has decided is getting a bit uppity, and so she gives him like a out of the way little solar system to rule over just to keep him quiet or
Nice.
whatever. Yeah, that happens. So I would say that the royal cast are, I don't know if I'd call them violent per se. They're they are extremely militaristic though, yes. They're
This one that I have highlighted here, what would you name this one? Or what category?
that would not be a Draco of any kind. Those would not be.
Okay.
Um I
All
think
right.
if you scroll up a little, oh, that black one there. Uh
Right here?
yeah, that's what the generals of the Draco Empire look like.
Really, the generals look like this.
Yeah,
That is fascinating.
yeah. The royal ones basically look like humanoid dragons. They're about 14 uh, feet tall usually, except for the top one, the queen mother, who is like 25 feet tall. Uh, they are about 98% of them are bright white, but not all of them. Some of them are black, some of them are red, some of them are green. Um, where was I? They have huge wings, they can fly, they're very muscular, they have big, thick tails, and all that. And they're obsessed with honor. They're basically like samurai. They're obsessed with honor and militarism and service to their monarch.
In your role of super soldier, have you ever killed them or maimed them?
Not a royal, no.
No, but any of the reptilians.
Uh, yeah, I've killed plenty of different kinds of reptilians.
Uh,
Particularly the Martian. They're called, a lot of people call them raptors. That's not what they're called out there. That's kind of a pop culture term. And the pop culture term came about after these were discovered by the SSP. The SSP discovered them well, way back. They're called deinonychoids because they resemble a dinosaur called a Deinonychus. But they stand upright. They don't stand lurched forward like dinosaurs did. They stand upright. They don't have feathers, which dinosaurs apparently did. And they are very intelligent. I'm not proud of having killed any of them. They didn't deserve that. They were just living their lives on Mars when we showed up and said, "Hey, this land is ours now."
who were you working for when you killed reptilians?
Uh, the Germans in that case.
What were the weapons?
Um, Basically just souped up versions of World War II guns. So like an STG-44, but a stronger version of that. They did not
Specific,
really have The Germans in space did not really have plasma weaponry until the 1990s, because of complicated and bizarre treaties that they kind of got tricked into. So for the most part, they had just regressions of their earlier weaponry.
and last question before we go on to other people's questions. The royal family of England, do they shapeshift into reptilians or do they embody them during ritual, in your opinion?
I don't think that shape shifting is real. I don't think you can physically alter the the chemical makeup of your body and the DNA makeup of your body so that you become a different species at will. Sorry, I just don't think that's possible. And I will say that the main person who this came from is Arizona Wilder, who, by her
Correct.
own admission, was on hallucinogenic drugs at the time she gave her testimony. So I'm skeptical, to
Okay.
say the least.
Okay.
I can imagine, however, that they might possibly have some avatar bodies on ice of different species for their own amusement that they might, through consciousness transfer, step into for rituals or just have a bit of fun.
Okay. Let's get on to,
That I can believe
all right,
easily.
let's get on to the questions that some people left. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask a question that somebody put on my YouTube channel when I told them you were coming on, that would you please ask John about this experience that I had? And she said, that Nordic looks like the one who I've seen in Astral the other night
Mhm.
trying to kidnap my daughter. I think they're trying to traumatize me right now because I'm helping targeted individuals. The other night, where a guy was carrying my daughter out of the back of the house on top of his shoulders as she was screaming, and as my family was busting in the front door to get in to save her. So she said it was a 7 foot Nordic. Is that possible that he came into the Astro and tried to
Yeah.
kidnap her daughter? A
Yeah,
Nordic?
super soldiers can project into the astral and pull your consciousness out. Some of them can. The really good ones can. To be clear, not all of them can. I cannot really do that. Um, my son, who is off-world, who I recently did a rather massive show about, that's a whole subject in and of itself, but he's able to do that, and that's how we communicate, is he astral projects in, pulls out a part of my astral body, and bilocates me to his apartment off planet so we can have a conversation.
What planet is that?
What?
What planet do you go to?
It's called Acheron. It's more of a planetoid, really, that orbits a brown dwarf about 16 light years from here.
That's a very good answer. Very specific. Thank you. That's amazing. Okay,
Thank you.
so you're welcome. Did you have some questions or comments that you wanted to comment before I go through? Let's say I'll pick 5 of these. And you said you had some you wanted to comment on.
They kind of blend together in my head, so just pull them up and and
Okay.
yeah.
Um, yeah, this is a comment you made. Pleiadians are Germans in space, and Venus is inhabited only by extremophiles. What is extremophiles?
Extremophiles is a life form that is hyper dependent on an extreme condition or hyper dependent on a chemical or mineral that is normally not conducive to life. There are extremophiles on Earth here, by the way, which are known about and you can look them up, which is the things that live down around the volcanic vents down at the bottom of the ocean. Uh, those are extremophiles. Uh, Venus is inhabited by things. Venus is not really habitable, again, for human life because it's basically an oven. The temperature is hundreds and hundreds of degrees on the surface, and the air is full of sulfur and acid rain and such. So,
Well, this brings me
and
to the next comment by someone called Electra Fireness. There are no such things as Venetians. Venus is not a habitable planet. That was a grifter who set up a UFO cult. The photos use paid models. Only Laura E. believes in that nonsense. Sorry. I didn't know that was coming. All those 1950s UFO cults were made up by grifters. I made a really good podcast showing what liars they all were. The Time Chronicles. There are no Arcturians either. There are reptiles and tall whites, but they are not called tall whites. Most people have no idea about ETs. LMFAO. What do you think about that statement, John? That's a
I
lot.
agree with I agree with 95% of it.
Okay.
I would like to know what she means by there are no Arcturians, because I've met a lot of the species I mentioned earlier. But on the other hand, I don't actually specifically remember ever going to Arcturus itself, so I'm not entirely closed off to that idea. Um, about Laura Eisenhower, I'm not going to say what I would exactly like to say, but I'm going to say that I know she has been quite not nice to a few good friends of mine, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Right.
Uh,
Um, leave it at that. Ameria Sweet, the issue with Pleiadians is there are 7 planets to choose from. Among these are thermal skinned people that look like our Native American people. The only white Pleiadians I know of are SSP Germans saying they are Pleiadians to hide their true identity.
I agree with the second half of that. I would say that the first half, the ones who look like Native Americans, are also breakaway people, who came down to the Native Americans here in the distant past. They went back in time, came down to the Native Americans here in the distant past, and told them we are from the Pleiades, and then went through the process I mentioned earlier, which are, by the way, that process is called Valhalla missions.
Hmm.
Um, I don't have very much firsthand experience with that part of the mission. I have more experience with the aftermath of it. If you want to know the firsthand experience of it all, talk to Penny. She did a lot of the Valhalla stuff. So, yeah.
So
Excuse
let's
my
see.
iced tea from Chick-fil-A. I am so sorry.
I never would have noticed unless you mentioned it.
Oh,
Uh,
nuts.
it's quite all right. Nikki Renee, Reinert. Pleiadians are reptilians. They are just clever at disguises and puppet mastery. All of those above are not part of the Earthbounder races, but adversary races apart from the Arcturians, who are a watcher race. That's a lot.
I don't agree with her that Germans in space are actually reptilians. I don't agree with that at all, but that's who left that comment?
Let's see.
Nikki.
Reinert. Renette?
Oh,
Renair?
Reinert. Yeah, I know who she is. Um, okay. I'm gonna
Eddie
say I mostly disagree with that comment. I don't think although, well, actually we talked about the Zeta Reticulans being on that list. I do agree that the Zeta Reticulans are pretty much our enemies. Um, they're not as much of a threat as plenty of other species are, but I don't think they're our friends in any way. Um, and I don't agree that the Germans in space, which is what the Pleiadians and Venusians pictured there are really our enemies. And reptilians is too broad of a category, as I mentioned earlier. It's interesting, Arcturians is a watcher race. I would like to know what that means exactly. Um, I would assume she's talking about like the books of the Watchers, and perhaps they're one of the races in there, which is plausible. I would call that plausible. They are extremely intelligent. They are cute and funny, like I mentioned earlier, but that doesn't mean they're dumb. They're extremely intelligent, so it's plausible.
Nori Hoja says, I was visited in an astro state or dream state by a tangentin female last Friday. That sounds,
Hygation.
sorry, I'm
Um,
massacring these words.
it's all right.
Thank you,
It's all right.
John. Thank you.
You're welcome. Um, okay, so you were visited by a hot alien chick in your dream. Good for you, dude.
You envious, John?
What?
You envious? You jealous?
Not not particularly, since I she was lying about what she actually was, if that even
Right.
actually happened.
So the hot females do it too. Yeah, they're probably after your soul. Eddie Lynn, Nik- 'Nikola Tesla was from Venus. 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 'Niko
Okay. There is a colony of Germans there in on Venus. Although floating in the upper atmosphere, like Cloud City in Star Wars. There is a colony there. I write a very little bit about it in one of my books. I don't remember a whole lot, but so I guess it's possible that Nikola Tesla was from that colony. And it's also, I guess, possible that Valiant Thor was from that colony and just lying about being an ET there again.
Aaron Sutherland says no black aliens out there, huh? And we answered that. The gentle reptilians are black. Are there any
Hmm.
others?
Yeah, there are black aliens out there. Um, there are all sorts of black reptilians, actually, including I talk about in my book a little bit, and I'll be talking more about him on my writing Substack, which writing other stories about alters other than the one that the book focuses on. Ezekiel was his name, was a black reptilian. To this day, I don't actually know what species he was. I've never seen one quite like him, who was um, who saved my life many times as a child growing up at Camp Hero. Um, he would leave me food and things, and he protected me many times, and he did that for many other children as well. So, yes, there are black reptilians. There are black human-like aliens as well in Cassiopeia, uh, star system, Cassiopeia. So
I
yeah,
have a
there are black
question.
ETs, and I do notice sometimes that they never get talked about.
As we're talking about this, I'm realizing that. Like,
Yeah.
why don't they get talked about? We don't ever see pictures of black.
hmm Yeah, I have a painting of Ezekiel somewhere. I wish I'd remembered this was going to come up. I could have sent it to you. But yeah, a friend of mine, his name is Paul Atkinson, um, did a very beautiful painting of him for me, uh, last year or so.
I wanted to know which planet Elon Musk is from.
You really want to know?
You told me this story before. It's a long one, but ultimately, did he end up at Venus? Or I know you created him. You guys created him or something. We talked about it.
We, yeah, he is an Anunnaki in a human avatar body.
Interesting.
Yeah, that will be in the fifth volume of my book, which I am currently
Mhm.
writing. And
So
there are going to be six volumes in total.
he's a bad guy, correct?
I I'd say so, yes.
Okay. So the last question, and it does totally relate to this video, but one of the last videos we did was also cut off early. We were talking about Chinese
All right.
lines of royalty. And she asked, please ask about Chinese dragons and why the perception of them differs so starkly compared to the West. You touched on the subject, but had to stop the session.
I suspect that they're two different species of dragon because you notice they look pretty different. The Chinese dragons, more often than not, don't even have wings, or if they do, they're small and their bodies are big and long and snake-like. Um, And the Western dragons are, they have almost more like a lizard body and really huge wings and all of that. So to me, that says it's two different species, and the Chinese happened to encounter ones that were nicer than the ones the Western world did.
Answer. So we can wrap it up. Chick-fil-A, I saw it then. It's quite all right. It's quite all right. Did you have any other comments or a last moment philosophical statements about aliens? And
I would like to remind people there's more out there than you can possibly imagine. That's my big statement about aliens. And the biggest lie ever told is that we are alone in the multiverse.
my mother used to
We're
look up at
we're
the
not
sky
even
with
alone
this.
on the we're not even alone on this planet, by the way. There are aliens that are indigenous here, which is why I usually use the term alien and not ET necessarily, because they might have been here longer than us when you come across them. So, and also to a lot of planets, we're the ETs when we go and visit them. So it's like, I think alien is a more descriptive term personally. Uh,
Are we generally liked or disliked? Or is that very, very circumstantial amongst the
it's
ET?
it's very circumstantial. We usually, I will say this for our species, we do usually try to be diplomatic at first. But on the other hand, we overreact very, very quickly if we don't get our way. So, mm, if they're nice to us from the start and they don't stab us in the back, there's basically never trouble with um, the people we encounter. But on the other hand, if they don't cooperate, then there is, and we are not liked by those people. So yeah, it's very circumstantial and varied, and also it changes at times. Peace treaties get signed or wars get started all the time.
How soon, or do you ever think we'll be walking side by side and going into bars and sharing drinks with ETs that look like ETs, like in Star Wars? Do you think that's going to happen in the next few decades? Total disclosure.
I would like it to be so, but I just don't see how, personally. I would like it to be so. I think that has always felt much more natural to me.
What is Trump's
But
relationship with the ETs? Is he affecting our relationship poorly with them, most likely?
probably a little bit, but also he doesn't really have much power.
Hmm.
It's his handlers who are making him do the things he does. Um, so I would say by proxy, he's probably not helping. A new species arriving and seeing him would probably think, well, these people are a joke, and uh, not want anything to do with us, which I
That's sad
understand,
because
honestly.
nobody's like Trump. It's really sad that our leaders are represented, to other species represent us because, most of us could
Yeah,
not be further from the
yeah,
ideologies of our leaders.
yeah, and they don't understand that.
Oh, that's sad.
Um, because that's not they most species that have space travel outgrew that sort of mentality, so long ago that they don't remember ever having had it. Uh, Factional warfare on your own planet is not the norm. Um, having different countries on the same planet is not the norm. And people are
Hmm,
going to not like that I said that, but it's just a fact.
I like it.
Uh, yeah. So it's it's they have lived that way for so long. Most aliens have, at least ones with space travel, that they can't quite comprehend the fact that we all hate each other so much, or that we're not supportive of our leadership because they uh, have usually, oftentimes, they have genetically bred out people in leadership positions who don't represent them.
Oh,
So they
wise of
can't
them.
comprehend. Yeah, they can't comprehend not being represented by their leaders. So,
Wow,
yeah,
I
it,
digressed.
yeah, definitely.
All right, well, John, I know we're both sort of tired, and I think we got it together towards the end.
I think so too.
Thank
That was
you.
fun.
It was fun. It was great. I learned a lot, and it's always good to see you and see that you're doing okay. I guess you're doing okay.
More or less.
Yeah.
For people who are listening to this who don't know, I am trying to escape an abusive situation, an abusive family situation. If you would really actually like to help me do that, beyond moral support, and you have the capability to do so, I am not asking you to do anything you are not capable of doing. If you are not capable of doing it, I understand. But if you are capable of doing it and you believe in my work and in the concept of freedom, there's a PayPal in the description.
Okay. And other
Yeah,
contacts for John and his PayPal. And
yeah,
I really, encourage everyone to support John if you can, for him to have survived what he has to tell humanity. His experience is just remarkable information historically and maybe for the future of humankind.
thank you. Yeah.
Good
All right.
night.
All right. I will see you.
Good night.
Good night.
See if I can remember how to